What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, and then we build them together, or we fix them if they are not quite up to snuff. Now, this week, we are talking about the Bard class. I was hoping to talk about the College of Spirits Bard this week, but we're going to do that next week. But we need to cover the Bard class itself first, and so we're going to go ahead and get through that. If you haven't already, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't. It really helps us out, and we are trying to get to 500 by the end of the year, so I think that that is doable with your help. So of course, click the bell so that you're notified anytime I upload new videos, and then share it with your friends. If just one of you shares it with 2 friends, and then those 2 friends share it with 2 friends, we'd meet it by like next week. So please go ahead, help me out, share the video with your friends. It really helps us grow, and I always love meeting new people down in the comments below. Speaking of the comments, let me know what you think of the camera now. We took a couple of weeks off and I was doing a lot of things. I had some concerts to go to, which were a lot of fun. I got a new camera, which was our biggest thing, and so I was waiting on all of the parts to come in. I would get one thing one day and then another thing 3 days later, and then another. It just took forever for everything to come in. Had to get things set up. Some settings weren't working out and all those good things. So I think I finally have it in a place that I'm pretty happy with, and I'm going to continue tweaking it as we go. But let me know what you think about that, and of course let me know what you think of the Bard class down below. So how can we sum up bards in a concise way? The way that I personally describe them is the DM's worst nightmare and a player's best friend. That's pretty much as accurate as I can get with it. They do a lot of things, and they do a lot of things really well, and they offer a lot of really great utility and support to the team, but they can also kind of do other things and do those well too. So yeah, this is kind of your jack of all trades, which that is something that you get as a bard anyway. So it's pretty crazy that that a class can do this much, and so we'll just have to see, can it do so many things well enough to rank higher than other classes? Let's go ahead, jump in, and let's find out. So let's go ahead and start taking some levels of Bard. And of course, we will be talking about feats and races and those things at the end of the video that would be optimal for the Bard in general. And then we will of course be talking about more specific things as we go through each of the subclasses. So I'm not going to offer a ton of suggestions here just for the base class, because your subclass can change everything, and you really want to make sure that you plan your subclass when you're picking your race, because there may be some things that maybe your subclass doesn't give you that your race can help patch up. So we'll be talking a lot more about races and feats as we go through the subclasses in the upcoming weeks, but I will give a few general helps here that will help with about any bard, and then we'll go deeper later. So let's go ahead and start with hit points, our hit die, AC, that sort of thing. We'll start there. We get a D8 hit die, which is pretty low. It's the second lowest outside of, wizards and sorcerers, who are very sad pandas at the bottom with D6s. So you're not as frail as them, but a D10 would have been nicer. But I totally understand. The bard is not really meant to be that frontline fighter. You are more of the stay in the back and support and utility. At least that's how it seems to be meant to be built rather. And so that's kind of where we're at here. And it also follows up with only light armor proficiencies, no shields, no medium or heavy armor, nothing like that. So we're starting off pretty rough here. We definitely would like to have more in the way of that, but yeah, it's a little disappointing start. So let's keep going. Simple weapons, we get all simple weapons, which is pretty standard. Hand crossbows, longswords, rapiers, and short swords. Rapiers and short swords are nice, especially rapier, because then we don't necessarily have to go with a strength build. We can go with a dex build, which most of your bards are going to want to shoot for, and the hand crossbow helps as well. Strength really isn't that great on a bard. I mean, you can do a strength build. I've seen them, and I've seen them be successful. But but typically you want dex to be higher because that helps your AC, it helps your initiative, it helps so many other things. And when you can dump strength and keep dex, that's typically what you're going to want to do. And so I personally prefer those things that have the ability to use your dex instead of your strength, but that's just me, personal preference. We get 3 musical instruments of your choice. No matter who you are, always take bagpipes. That's just to annoy your DM, because then you can just sound out bagpipes to your DM, and the worse it sounds, the better. It's what your character would do. Saving throws. This is important. Dexterity and charisma. Dexterity is fantastic, and to me, it's the second best for a spellcaster, because really concentration is really better, so constitution would be nice. But dexterity is your second best. There are a lot of traps and spells and things that need a dexterity saving throw, so you are going to use that. That is very handy. The other is charisma, which is the second best of your mental stats. Obviously wisdom is a little bit better, but charisma is in second place, so it's not terrible, right? Your saving throws are definitely not the worst that they could be, so I'm okay with it. Now, skills are interesting. This is where we get something interesting. We get any 3 skills that you want. That's pretty nice. Most, not all, but most other classes you have to choose from a list, and you get 2 or 3 from a specific list. Bards get to choose any 3 that they want, which is very handy. So this really allows you to customize your bard to be good at whatever you want your bard to be good at. Which is very, very nice. You can also pick up the skilled feat if you want more proficiencies, which is totally a thing that you can do. There is a way with some insane multi-classing to get all skill proficiencies by like level 7. If you want to see how that's done later on the channel, I can show you. It's very interesting, but it is possible by level 7 to have all of your skills with proficiency, and then like either 4 or 6 of them with expertise. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool what you can actually do with all these skill proficiencies. But that flexibility is really, really nice. So I really like that. So as far as our hit points and proficiencies go, where are we ranking them? This has got to be a 7 out of 10 for me. The low hit points and really bad armor class are going to really hurt you. So you are going to be looking for ways to patch that up if you can, whether through multi-classing, whether through a feat that gives you better AC, things like that, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video more so. But just as base class, we're not really taking any of that stuff into consideration here. It's going to be a 7 out of 10. So yeah, it's not the worst, because your saving throws are good and your skill proficiencies are also very good. So those things help. But only having light armor and only having a very low hit points, pretty rough. So yeah, 7 is probably about the most that I can give it. All right, first level of Bard, we get Spellcasting, and this is where we just start right off the bat with strong things. Bards are great spellcasters. They are a charisma class, which is, in my opinion, the best of your spellcasters. So for one, there are a lot of them. You have paladins, you have sorcerers, you have warlocks. So you have a lot of options here as far as your multi-classing. If you need to pick up something from another class list, it's pretty easy to go over there and you're not losing out on anything. You don't have to move your stats around all that much. So that is one thing that helps a lot, because you're already going to be a little bit multiple ability dependent between charisma and either dex or strength, and then also with constitution. So you're struggling a little bit there with all the stats you need to juggle, but this helps. That helps with that. So those are all really no-brainer multi-classes, but again, you know, we'll talk about that as we get to multi-classing options later. But we do have a pretty nice spell list here, actually. We get a few standouts. Things like Vicious Mockery is one that I look at. That is a really, really nice spell for bards to have. But bards can do a lot of different things. And we're going to go a lot more into specifics on spells to take when we go into subclasses, because the thing about bards and the bard spell list is it's so open-ended to however you want to build this bard. Because you have things that do damage. You have things like Hypnotic Pattern that will incapacitate enemies. You have Hold Person, same thing. You have your control spells. You have all kinds of different things that you can do with your bard, and all of them can happen and do them really, really well. So it's very open-ended here. The spell list is very versatile. It allows you to do a lot of different things, and I personally really like it. We will go into a lot more details when we talk about subclasses, because again, you can build it however you want, especially when we get something a little bit later called magical secrets. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, you're very open-ended in what you can do here. And you also get Bardic Inspiration, which is a huge reason to go Bard. So you start out with a D6, and you can, when someone is near you, you can give them inspiration as a bonus action. Now, it's not inspiration in the way that inspiration is typically thought of in D&D. Instead, it is a D6 for now, and eventually goes up to a D12 that you can give to help your ally with an attack roll, saving throw, or an ability check, and they can add that after the roll has been rolled, but before you know the result of the roll from the DM. This is insanely useful. This is incredibly useful because it is so open-ended, and actually your Bardic Inspiration gets even better at level 2 with Tasha's optional features, and we will talk about those right now. So as we get to level 2, we get Jack of all trades, which just makes you better at all kinds of things. All of your skills that you're not proficient in, yeah, just go ahead and add half of your proficiency bonus to it anyway. So now you're just even better at skills. Even if you're not proficient, you're just the Swiss Army knife of skills, which is amazing. It gives you a lot of different things that you can do. We also get Song of Rest, which is a very nice little help to healing on a short rest. So basically what it is, whenever someone near you hears you sing a little song during a short rest, they can heal 1d6 extra whenever they use hit die to heal. So it's not just a free d6 if they don't do anything, if they just sit there. They do have to expend hit dice in order to get the buff, but that's honestly fine because again, you're able to kind of double dip here, you know, just use one of your hit die if you need to on a short rest, and you're still getting that d6 back, which is pretty great. There's also no limit to how many times you can do this. It's just as many short rests as you are allowed. So if your DM is very helpful, and I say generous is probably the better term, at giving you short rests, then you can abuse the heck out of this and just go to town. It's really nice. It's just free healing on a short rest. Why not, right? Finally, we get Magical Inspiration, and so this is an optional feature from Tasha. So again, talk to your DM, make sure he or she is using these optional rules because they are pretty great. I like the optional rules. I like all of them, honestly. I use all of the optional rules in Tasha's. So personally, that's just me, but your DM may be different. Always ask. But as far as what it does is it allows you to not only let them use it on an attack roll, saving throw, or an ability check, but you can also use it to damage rolls on spells, and you can also use it on healing spells. This is insane. It's actually pretty great. Anytime you cast a spell that restores hit points or deals damage, so it doesn't necessarily even have to have an attack roll with it. This is attack roll or saving throw. You can add your bonus to damage or healing onto it. That's awesome. So let me go back and rank everything. I wanted to wait until we heard more about the Bardic Inspiration, and we will catch everything here. Spellcasting, 10 out of 10. We are a full caster. This is the first time we've done a full caster on this channel, and having up to 9th level spells combined with magical secrets, which we will talk about here in a minute, this is insane. So yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. Anytime you have a full caster, especially a charisma caster, you're gonna have a 10 out of 10 for me. It's fantastic. Bardic Inspiration, combined with Magical Inspiration, this is also going to get a 10 out of 10. You can use this a number of times equal to your charisma bonus, which is fantastic, and you can just keep giving this out. You're not limited to how many bits of inspiration you have out there. The only thing you can't inspire yourself, at least at rules as written, it says you have to target another creature. Your DM may say something a little different if you're so, you know, self-indulgent that you want to inspire yourself. If your DM will allow that, then sure, it's right up Bard's alley. But yeah, Bardic Inspiration is fantastic, and it does scale very, very well. Jack of all trades, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. This is great though. It's absolutely fantastic to be able to add half your proficiency bonus, and of course that also scales. Although pretty slowly, but still it does scale, and that is very, very nice. I love things that scale. Song of Rest, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10 as well. This also scales up to a D12 by the time you get up to level, I believe, 17. One thing to keep in mind though is that Bardic Inspiration and Song of Rest are not tied to each other as far as when they upgrade on their die types. They do go separately. So first of all, one happens at level 5, one happens at level 9 as far as your first time switching. So just be really careful with that. They're not the same, at least not all the time. So just be really, really careful, and we will go over those as we go as well. And Magical Inspiration adding to Bardic Inspiration is just insane. We already gave that our ranking. It's absolutely fantastic. It really gives you so much more flexibility, and just that's free damage or healing now. It's just ridiculous, and it just makes an already amazing class that much more amazing and versatile. So yeah, it's amazing. At 3rd level, we get a few things here. We get to go to college now and pick our subclass. There are several subclasses to choose from here, and we will of course be going into those as we go along. We're going to start with the College of Spirits Bard next week, and even though we normally go alphabetical order, I mean, your jack-o'-lanterns are going to look even creepier next week than they do this week for Halloween, so it fits. It's totally fine. So we're going to be talking about the College of Spirits next week, and then we'll move on to College of Creation the following week and go in order from there. We also get expertise, so you can choose a couple of skills that you're proficient in and just double your skill proficiency with that. That's kind of busted. By the time you get all the way up to level 20 and have a +6, that's a +12 for free, not counting your modifier already coming from that particular skill that it's tied to. That's insane. It's really, really, really nice. And this, of course, does scale as well. At level 10, you get to choose more. That's fantastic. So, expertise, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. It's not a ton of skills, but you can choose some skills to be really, really good at. And the rest you have either proficiency in, or you have Jack of all trades affecting. So, it's amazing. It's absolutely fantastic. Level 4, you are going to get your ability score improvement or a feat here. We will talk about those at the end of the video, of course. And also Bardic Versatility, which will come online anytime we have an ASI or a feat. This just allows you to have a little bit more flexibility with everything. This is another optional feature from Tasha's, but you can replace one skill that you have expertise in with another one, or you can replace one cantrip with a different one. Just opening your options up. So, you know, if you were trying out a new cantrip that maybe you've never tried before and then you didn't really like it, it's fine. Switch it out. No big deal. I love versatility personally. I love the ability to switch things. If you think maybe I'm not getting as much mileage out of this, maybe it's something that worked really well for low level, and then as you're going up, not so much anymore, and you need something different. I like the ability to switch that up. I think that's very, very useful. Gives you a lot more mileage that way. So I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. I think it's great. I don't think it's game changing, but I do think it's pretty nice to have. At level 5, our Bardic Inspiration goes up to a D8, which is great. And we also get Font of Inspiration. And this makes you get your Bardic Inspiration back on a short rest. As if bards didn't have enough things and times to inspire people. Yeah, it was a long rest before. Now it's a short rest. Why not? It's great though. I think that this is great that it is level 5. I'm glad that it's not a short rest stock. And the reason is because it encourages you to go deeper into Bard and not just take 1 or 3 levels of Bard just to get that subclass feature and then get out. It makes you want to go deeper and actually go with the full class. And typically your builds are going to be better if you go with a straight build, unless you're going for something very specific, which on this channel sometimes we are. But typically a straight build is going to be a little bit better. So this makes you want to take at least 5 levels here. And then at 6th level, you're getting a few more things. But yeah, Font of Inspiration is pretty great. And it's very nice to have. We also get 3rd level spells here, which is fantastic. At 6th level, we get Counter Charm, which is one of the weaker things for bards. Basically, you sing a little song or do a little dance or talk a little smack or something. That's the thing about bards. They don't have to be singers or musicians. They can be like, you know, slam poets if you want to. You can go around just telling dad jokes. You can do that. Like you're totally free to just do whatever you want as a performer. So I like that it opens that up. But during that time, you get advantage on saving throws against Frighten and Charm. This can come up, especially once you're at 6th level. You're going to start facing things that are using this a little bit more. But it's going to be somewhat rare. It's not going to be something you're going to see every day. It's not going to be something all the time. And it is an action to do this. And it's not something that will help you like get out of it. It is something that keeps them from entering that state. So once you're frightened, that you're frightened. If the bard does the little song, does the little dance, talks a little smack, it doesn't actually change anything there. So just be really careful with that wording. It's a little tough, but your DM may say otherwise. Maybe your DM will allow it to work like that. But personally, I don't read it that way. I don't think that that's how it goes. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for me. I think that this is more of a 6 out of 10. It's okay when you got it. It's cool when you have it, but you've got to really be thinking ahead, and it's really not going to come up all that much. So, not that great. Could be something a lot better. At 7th level, we actually don't get any features, but we do get 4th level spells, which is pretty cool. At 8th level, another ASI and Bardic Versatility, which is great. 9th level, our Song of Rest scales up to a D8, and we get 5th level spells. And this is something that you're going to notice about bards before we get to level 10, and we actually get another thing. Bards don't get nearly as many features, at least later on. It's a lot more scaling of your base features. That's not necessarily a bad thing when those features are straight up busted, and they just get more busted as you go. You really don't need more features necessarily, and if we were as we are right now without what we're going to get at level 10, we would be doing pretty well, right? We still wouldn't be a terrible class. But then level 10 comes around, and they just decided that they just want to make you insanely strong. So your Bardic Inspiration goes up to a D10 here. Cool. You get 2 more skills with expertise. Great. And then you get Magical Secrets. Magical Secrets. Magical Secrets allows you to take 2 spells from any spell list and add those to yours as if they were a bard spell. Sounds very simple. Now, it does have to be of a level of spell that you can cast. So at this point, 5th level spells, so you can't go any higher than 5th level. But there are a lot of 5th level and below spells that you might want. There's a lot of them. So you can, if you want to, take Fireball as a bard. You absolutely can do that and put on the most fiery performance anyone's ever seen. That is a thing that you are free to do. But you can take so many other things off the wizard spell list. You can take things off the warlock spell list. Now, one thing to watch out for on the wording. Some DMs rule it one way, some DMs rule it the other way. I tend to DM this the harsher way, but that's just me. Some DMs may not rule it this way, just the way it's worded. It does say choose 2 spells from any class. The way that I read that, and maybe I'm wrong for reading it like this, is you choose a class, any class, and then you choose 2 spells from that specific spell list. So it's not necessarily, I can grab, Hunter's Mark from Ranger and I can grab Hex from Warlock. Not saying that those are necessarily your best choices to grab, but let's just, for the sake of argument, you grab 1 from each of those. I rule that it doesn't allow you to do that, but I rule that you have to go, say, Warlock, and you grab Armor Bagathus and Hex. You can grab 2 things from 1 spell list. Now, this does happen again at 14th and 18th level. 18th level is dangerous because you have 9th level spells by that point, so you can take Wish, and that's kind of stupid. It's insane. But yeah, it does say choose 2 spells from any class. It doesn't say they have to be from the same level, and they can be cantrips as well. So if there's a cantrip that you're really wanting, if you're really wanting Find Familiar, if you're really wanting that crucial spell that would really round out your kit, this is your ticket. This is a 10 out of 10. You get 6 total spells from any spell list ranging, and all of them are going to be at least 5th level or lower. And then it just goes higher from there in how you can choose them. So 14th level, you're going to get even higher level spells, and then 18th level, you're getting 9th level spells. That's kind of dumb. So that's 10 out of 10. Like, you can take Wish with any bard that you want. And there's actually a subclass that allows you to take this a 4th time. And so I think you can already see where that ranking is going to end up. But yeah, this is a very, very, very powerful thing to have on a bard. At 11th level, we don't get any features, but we do get 6th level spells, which is cool. At 12th level, we get an ability score improvement or a feat, and then of course bardic versatility. At 13th, we get Song of Rest and 7th level spells. Song of Rest going up to a D10 now, which is good. It does kind of fall off as you go, you know. I mean, you do have a lot more hit die to spend on a short rest, but just 1d10 isn't going to make a huge difference now. So the scaling is nice, but it's not going to make as much of a difference as something like Bardic Inspiration. Magical Secrets again at 14, as well as another Bard College feature. That's pretty great. And then 15 Bardic Inspiration is already a D12. I feel like that's so early to have Bardic Inspiration capped out, but it's great. And you also have 8th level spells now. We're cooking with gas, aren't we? It's pretty great. 16th, of course, ASI or Feat and your Bardic Versatility. And then Song of Rest goes to a D12 at level 17. And then finally at 18, we get Magical Secrets again. Now, this is when you stop learning new spells. Now, of course, with any spellcaster, you can always switch out one spell that you know for another spell on your spell list. Just be careful with this, because you really want to make sure that you are getting your magical secrets right the first time, because now they count as bard spells, but when you go to choose new spells, if you go to switch something out, you don't get to choose from another spell list. So that's something to be careful of. You want to make sure that you are picking what you really want for your magical secrets. There's no take backs on that. There's no choosing a different one off of a different spell list. You get one go at it. So just be really careful with that. 19th level ASI, of course, and then 20th level we get Superior Inspiration, and so this is something similar to things that like fighters get. There's a few things that that help out here, but basically it is, if you start a combat, when you roll initiative and you don't have any Bardic Inspiration left, you get one back. That's really good. That's really good. I mean, only having one, though, can still change the tide of battle, especially with the ability to use it with attack rolls or heals, that sort of thing. That can either end an opponent's life or save yours, and that's very, very useful. And you may not have had it before because you're going through a bunch of different combat scenarios that day. Maybe you didn't get your short rest in, something like that. It's really, really nice to have. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 as well. I think it's great. I don't think it's busted because you only get one back, but I do think it still is meaningful when it does happen. So where do we rank bards overall? Bards, as you can tell, can do about anything you want them to do. With the combination of jack of all trades, lots of skill proficiencies and expertise, as well as magical secrets, being able to choose spells from any spell list that you want, getting to go up to 9th level spells and choose things like Wish, it's really hard to not give this a really high ranking. So I'm going to. This is a 10 out of 10 class. This is insanely powerful and insanely versatile, which are both great things. The ability to have these skill proficiencies helps you with things like exploration, outside of combat things. You have the ability to take any kind of spells that you want for in and outside of combat. So if you want somebody who's scouting out and you want things like that, you can do that. You can take things from the ranger spell list if you want, or you can be blasty and you can take fireball and you can take all of these crazy blasty spells. You can do whatever you want with this bard, and that is fantastic. These are things that any bard can do, and so being able to do anything is where your subclasses are really going to come into play, because they allow you to somewhat fill a niche, but the class still leaves you so open that no two bards are going to be alike. Even if you choose the same subclass, you're going to be different from everybody else because you chose X spell from this and X spell from this, and it's just fantastic. I absolutely love that. I love options when I'm looking at these when I'm looking at these classes. Again, they are a DM's worst nightmare, just because they are good at everything. So if your DM wants to add any kind of drama, it's tough because bards don't really fail at a lot of things. So it is tough sometimes, but that's part of the fun. That's part of why we play bards. So before we go, let's talk about some feats and some races that are really, really good for bards specifically. So for me, a few things. Let's talk about feats first. Feats like skilled are really cool here. And I barely ever recommend that, but I think skilled is really nice here because of expertise. It allows you to get what you want here, and you can swap the expertise out whenever you get an ASI. That's pretty great as well. So if you know that you're getting ready to go into a stealth mission around the time that you're leveling up, you can switch that expertise to stealth. If you need to be more nimble, maybe you need acrobatics, and you can switch over to that. You can do all sorts of things there with that, and I really, really like that flexibility. Again, that's what bards are all about here. So I think that's really, really nice. As far as other feats go, you want to pick up armor. You want to pick up medium armor. So any of those that give you medium armor proficiency, you're going to want to grab as soon as possible. Heavy armor proficiency seems a little dumb because you're going to have a strength requirement. So I don't think heavy armor is something you necessarily need to shoot for. Even a shield would be nice because you don't have shield proficiencies either. So, you can always go with something like that, and I definitely recommend getting some better armor along the way, and feats are your best way to pick that up. So just something to consider. And you also would like to also grab other proficiencies with weapons too. More martial weapons would be really, really nice. I find this a little more optional just because you can make use of the hand crossbow or the rapier or short sword. I think that those really give you a lot more options than you think. But if you really want to be a polearm wielding bard, then you can do that and be a polearm master bard. It can happen. Again, you can do whatever the heck you want to do as a bard. Just remember, when you're going like that, you're still a bard. You still have all of this stuff that you can do. And don't forget, use your bardic inspiration. That's what it's there for. It's great. So then as far as races, where bards are so versatile, there's not a whole lot of races that really do a huge difference, but one thing that they struggle with a little bit is cantrips. So they only get 4 cantrips over their entire lifetime. So it's pretty nice to take something like Magic Initiate here to pick up 2 more. I recommended this with our Artificer, of course, because they only get 4 as well. So picking up an additional 2 is pretty nice, and it can be from any spell list. And again, you can go with Warlock. You can go and pick up Eldritch Blast if you want to, which is always nice. If you really want to go for a Blasty Bard, that's your way. And that also gives you something like Find Familiar if you go with the correct spell list. So that can also give you something like Shield right there, so you're not really worrying about taking it as a bard spell. You don't have to necessarily think about taking it there. You can take it as, say, a wizard spell and take Find Familiar, take Shield. You could take any number of others like that that don't necessarily need a good intelligence modifier, and then take some things like Thaumaturgy from the cantrip list, and that way it frees up a lot more things from the bard spell list that you can just pick up there. So I think that Magic Initiate is really, really great. But as far as races go, it's nice to grab some that come with cantrips. The other thing, though, is that you're really open-ended here because of Tasha's ability to switch around your stats. Now, not all DMs are doing this, but in Tasha's, it does allow you to, with any race, choose if they have a +2 and +1 to a stat, or +3 to any stat, or whatever you want. You can put that with any stat you want, not necessarily the one that is listed in the book. So say something has a +2 to Constitution and a +1 to Strength. Well, you can just say, no, that's going to be a +2 to Charisma and a +1 to Dexterity. And that's by the rules now with Tasha's. Now, not all DMs are doing this, but it is somewhat common now that Tasha's is out. So, and Tasha's has been out like a year now. But it is a thing that you can do. And so that really leaves you much more open-ended. So again, with bards being so versatile, choose features that really fit the flavor of your specific build. Whatever you're wanting to do, you're there for features. You're not there for stats anymore. And that's what's so great. Obviously, you could get a free feat with custom lineage or variant human, but that's boring. Even though I use it in a lot of my builds, it's still really nice. You know, you can pick up some magic, which would be really nice to pick up. So that's what I recommend personally. And so that's just me. And that is it for today's video. Before we go, I wanted to say thank you so much to all of you for all of the continued support. We have picked up a lot of subscribers just in these last couple of weeks that I've been gone. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you who are new subscribers. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate you watching the video this long. It really means a lot to me. So next week, we are going to be talking about the College of Spirits Bard and breaking that down. We're going to be ranking it on a scale of 1 to 10 and then either building it or fixing it together, which is going to be a lot of fun. And then we will go with the creation bard and go in alphabetical order from there. So I hope you're looking forward to that. Of course, leave a like if you haven't already and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you next week. Stay healthy and stay safe out there. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.